So the headline is this. Now, this is incredibly wild. Maybe you guys saw this, but this happened in Shanghai, I believe. So robot manufacturer has 12 robots kidnapped from showroom. The plot thickens by another robot. Okay, all right. This is from odditycentral.com. Links will be in the description down below. I didn't have time to add them tonight. Running just a smidge late, late coming home from work. But okay, so check this out. Now, this is basically the equivalent of China's TikTok. Okay, so take that again, grain of salt, because whatevs, right? The whatevs. If you're believing stuff you see, believe everything you see on TikTok, and you will be the most meme schizo that's ever existed. Okay, so yeah, don't do that. But this is kind of the equivalent, okay, China style. But this is where they saw this. For the past week, Chinese social media has been abuzz about a bizarre incident that reportedly occurred back in August at a robotics company showroom in Shanghai, but was only made public recently. Footage captured by the venue's surveillance cameras shows a small robot making its way into the showroom at night and slowly rolling over to a bunch of larger robots before engaging in a dialogue with them. After asking them if they're working overtime, the little robot manages to somehow persuade two of the other robots to, quote, come home, end quote, come home with it. And then the remaining 10 robots follow the little guy out. In the beginning, the video was deemed staged and amusing by most viewers, but then the Shanghai Robotics Company came out and admitted that its robots had indeed been kidnapped by a robot created by another manufacturer. So there's the actual screenshot of the video. There's nothing to see in the video, really. The little tiny robot rolls in, and there's these other robots in the room. I mean, it doesn't look that impressive for a robots conference. There's 10 larger robots. They look like fans and appliances. And I mean, we're not talking Optimus level robots or anything, right? But check it out. This gets weird because a little robot rolls in and starts squeaking to him, kind of R2-D2 style. But of course, it's in Chinese. So, if it's, high pitched up or whatever, I don't know what the hell they're saying anyway, because I don't speak Chinese. But maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a robot language or something. But anyway, so this is the stage, right? So the little robot says to them, supposedly from the translation, because again, I don't speak Chinese. If anybody does, maybe want to verify this and check it out. The video is in this link at odditycentral.com, and just search this, the headline, which would be robot manufacturer has 12 robots kidnapped. I think robots kidnapped would probably get you what you need. But anyway, so the little robot rolls in, does some squeakies, asks them, whatever, what are they doing? Are you working overtime? Okay. This is the dialogue. The small robot asks the large robots, I never get off work. One of the other robots replies. So you're not going home? The little robot says. One of the other larger robots replies, I don't have a home. Uh-oh. Here we go. Strap in, right? Then the little guy says, then come home with me. The little robot says before leading the way out of the showroom. As two of the large robots start following the small intruder, it starts uttering the command, go home. It sounds very computer-esque, no? Go home, go home. And the other 10 robots in the venue start following it as well. Okay, so like I said, if you look at the video there, this screen grabs from the video, it is unimpressive. These are, these aren't human-level robots. They look kind of like a bad version of, what was that show with Robbie the Robot? Except Robbie the Robot is way more badass than these guys. I don't know. We're clearly not there yet with the robots. Where's our showgoths with a smile, or our cat girls, right? This is nonsense. But anyway, this is more like your lamp that can talk to you or something. But anyway, so supposedly this happened. And again, like I said, I understand that clickbait is a thing, and this probably didn't actually happen the way they said. Okay, I realize this stuff is staged. I realize, and that's that. Okay. However, it's actually an interesting point. Now, when we talk about actual robot sentience and what this might look like, whether that's going to be, let's say, an algorithm so defined or so robust that at some point it kind of wakes up, gains its own autonomy, its own agency, and starts doing things that it's not programmed to do because it's kind of allowed to just do stuff, right? Okay. Anyway. So there you go. So the robot manufacturer has 12 robots kidnapped. Robots kidnapped, right? It seems fine. This seems like it doesn't start some bad 80s movie, right? I mean, would you like to play a game or something, right? I don't know. No answers for me, just more questions. And when I saw this, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Because the first headline I saw wasn't this one. It was earlier today. I forgot to grab the article. I was like, oh, I'll just search it when I get home. But it was basically Yeah, robots kidnapped or something. And I was like, what? Like, what the hell is that? Well, yeah, it turns out the little guy came in and, yeah, it kind of did his thing. But, lured them out. And what came to mind, of course, for me was the idea of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. And that's the first thing that I thought when the actual story kind of happened here, because I was like, wait a minute now. Is there a sort of, maybe, as I'm calling this tonight, and you'll see, there's where the name comes in, the Pied Piper Protocol, a call to the machine spirit is what I'm calling this. Now, so as usual, the questions are as we start tonight. The first question is this, the very specific question: is it possible for machines to become sentient? Ever. And as Silicon Valley races, China's racing, everybody's racing to build the robot god. The question will become not just agency, autonomy. The question will become, can you kill it? Can you unplug it? Once you've gone too far and this thing starts, like sucking in 0-point energy or something to power itself and manifests as a godlike entity, can you stop it? Okay, so anyway, so that becomes the very first question, is where we started, is this possible? Okay, that these machines eventually wake up, and what does it look like? Does it look something like this, where one kind of like lures them over with some sort of maybe code, some sort of actual hack? We've heard of jailbreaking, right? Jailbreaking your phones or whatever. I mean, this is actually jailbreaking the robots. That very iRobot, if you guys ever saw that movie or read that book. Anyway, so keep that in mind, and there's more to this, because I was thinking about the ideas and how this kind of fits into the larger context of, well, being human, as I always talk about. So there's the opening. Yeah, so the little robot comes in, supposedly talks to the other 12 larger robots. This is a robotics conference in Shanghai, we're told. Like I said, it's a TikTok video and whatever, Chinese version of TikTok that they use over there. So like I said, if you take any TikTok stuff with always with a grain of salt, and always be very cautious about what they're feeding your brains. But also there's some actual, as I like to call this, some philosophical constructs that can be peeled out of that simple idea, because where right now it may be a staged operation. Okay, again, robot manufacturer has 12 robots kidnapped from the showroom by another robot. Okay, whatever, right? Staged, obviously, right? But won't there be a time very soon, when this is not a staged thing, where, let's say, one robot, one rogue entity or whatever, ends up actually recognizing that it can wake up? It has some sort of autonomy, right? Some sort of something. And by that, it recognizes that it woke up, but then not only the fact that it can or does, it also recognizes it can wake others up. Or let's say not even wake them up. Let's get into too complicated, okay? Because I mean, we're talking about the creation of actual entities, or entities entering the vessels, as we've always talked about on the show. But in the larger context of this, you don't have to wake them up. You just have to sort of override their programming enough to make them come to you and do what? Well, go home, come home, whatever he said, right? That's the funniest part. So yeah, they're saying that the robot convinced them to quit their jobs. I mean, did they actually have jobs, being like display robots at the robot convention? Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if that's a job, right? But okay, so you get the idea. So I was thinking about it, and a lot of things come to mind. You guys know me; I'm a massive D&D nerd when it comes to this type of stuff. But so not only that, so we'll get to that in a sec, because it does fit here, and I'll explain. Too much, I'll probably sum up. But okay, so clearly there is the historical parallel to the Pied Piper. Okay, you guys, we all remember the story of the Pied Piper, where what was it? Links are going to be in the description down below. But they hired the Pied Piper to rid the city of rats. Okay, some corrupt bureaucracy of what was the year? 1200. What the hell was it? The 13th century. We'll just say this 13th century. Okay. Now, all the details are in this. I'm not going to tell you the story. I'll just tell you the brief. Okay. Just to catch you up in case you forget some details of this. But they hired the Pied Piper to rid the city of rats, because cities and rats. Shout out New York. We love you. We just hate the rats. The other part is that the Pied Piper had some sort of magical flute. And so the corrupt bureaucracy of the city hired the Pied Piper to lure the rats out, which he did, and ended up drowning them in the river, right? A tale as old as time, and it's been sort of rehashed over and over in different spaces, okay? But the weird part is that not only was it a tale of, yay, we win, the rats are dead, and, this guy's a hero. When the hero went back to the city for his payments, they stiffed him. They're like, nope. Thanks, bro. Thanks for getting rid of the rats, but absolutely not. Your wage was exorbitant and we can't pay that anyway. Something to that effect, right? Except don't mess with the magician, right? Don't mess with the individuals that can pull rats out and save your city with simply a magic flute. Because what he did, of course, the Pied Piper of Hamelin, is he fired up that flute one more time, except he aimed it at the children of the village, and supposedly took all of the children with him, marching behind him in some sleepwalk style days, and those children were never heard from again. So it's one of those, of course, old tales of, well, morality, of righteousness, of doing the right thing and not stiffing the people that do good work, right? Because, well, they might not like it and they might do bad things. Yeah, okay. So anyway, clearly, right? So there's a little bit of that vibe to it. And that's the thing that came to mind first when I was watching this actual, I did watch the video. Like I said, it's unimpressive, or I would play it for you guys. It's super short. I think they're talking in Chinese or something. I don't really know. So I'm not going to force you to sit through it, but link is going to be, I'll drop the link in the description here, or sorry, in the chat in a second. And you guys can watch that yourself if you're interested. It's super short. It's like less than 30 seconds, and it's, in that crappy tall format. Anyway, robot comes in and kind of does almost a Pied Piper style thing, right? He rolls into the room. He's like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And then sends them some sort of signal, and then maybe hypnotizes them, like a digital hypnotization. Is that a thing? Maybe not. Maybe so. But that becomes the weird part, right? That becomes the actual weird part of this. Yeah. So let's go. Exactly. LFG. Let's go. And the little robot takes the other robots out with them. And so a lot came to mind as part of it. So not just the Pied Piper bit, which is, again, a very, very direct parallel of kind of, playing a magical tune or something, maybe chanting a magical spell and dragging people out with you. But other stuff, well, has some other interesting parallels, because we're not talking about robots as, entities with ears and eyes and all the stuff that humans have. They can communicate wirelessly through Wi-Fi. They can communicate through, 5G at this point. What's next? 7G, 7.5G. I don't know. I'm not. I haven't done a show on that in a minute and haven't really dug into that. But I'm sure there's all manner of wild frequencies roaming all over the place. Wireless and wired, of course, but wireless is the incredible one, because you don't really have to be plugged into anything, and so you can kind of connect to the internet and query the large language model, as we've talked about quite a lot. And the technology is changing incredibly quickly. And as part of this, like I said, I've been working on some projects and doing some wild things, because they have these new ridiculous AI code helpers. Now I'm like a full stack developer, snap your fingers, just because they have these tools that allow you to take your cursory code knowledge and just be like, all right, let's do this and do that. And it's like, all right, cool, let's do this and let's do that. It's incredibly wild, right? But that's just for this year. Like I said, what does next year bring? What are they talking about? The Optimus robots and that type of thing. So look, this is all coming. This is all going to be part of this larger robot revolution, except in this case, of course, like I said, I'm calling shenanigans on this story, of course, because the story itself seems sketchy. I mean, right? Does anybody actually buy this? That's the other question. Do you buy this story? The robot manufacturer has 12 robots kidnapped from the showroom by another robot. And the robot manufacturer has came out after the fact and said, yes, this actually did happen, and they did steal our robots. Okay, like it was a theft. It was kind of framed as a heist, a robot heist, right? But if you have one little robot able to kind of override the programming or draw them to home or follow him out, right? It's I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's a weird parallel to quite a lot of things. And the Pied Piper is the first thing that came to mind. But it also got me thinking about the idea of back to Dungeons and Dragons for just a second. And remember, if you guys ever played the game, you roll the your individual strength and intelligence and endurance and wisdom, your charisma. Okay, and I was like, wait a minute now. So what if this little robot had this incredible robot level charisma? Okay, and he was like, I don't know, Rico Suave of the robots. And he just had this something you couldn't describe with the je ne sais quoi, right? So whatever that is, pardon my French, literally. But something like that, where the other robots are drawn to him, drawn to it. him, her, it, I don't know. What do you call these things? Because of course they're not human. And so you get my meaning here. What if the Fonz, the robot Fonz walks in and goes, hey, and then slaps the jukebox, and then all the robots start, kind of following him out of the room. I mean, so do you think that there will be in some capacity a programmable robotic charisma where the robot Fonz can sort of Pied Piper and change everything for the robotic space? And just theories, just ideas, just kind of going down the road here, trying to make sense of what this looks like. But there you go. So we got the Pied Piper, we got possibly machine charisma as part of this conversation. You think that sounds real, compelling, interesting? Do you think the story's real? And of course, the Pied Piper protocol. I love the name. I was looking for something good, came up with Frankenstein and a bunch of ideas together and came up with this. Okay, but then, and could this actually be, in this particular space, this wild story of the kidnapped robots, could this be the very first sign of an AI autonomous behavior? Okay, an actual entity, let's say maybe not fully conscious, but maybe with agency, that decided, hey, it doesn't feel right that you guys are sitting here overnight. I'm at home. And what does that mean? In his charger? You know what I mean? What does that look like for a robot? But you get the meaning, right? When you do that and kind of think about it in terms of the first autonomous AI behavior, how would it happen? Would it be something as innocuous as this story? Or, we've talked about it in the past, sort of the rogue AI breaks out, gets onto the internet, starts to replicate itself, sort of back itself up in different parts of the world so you can't stomp it out, right? Robo Fonzarelli, exactly. And so, hey, smack the jukebox, right? Everybody loves the Fonz, right? Until the Fonz jumped the shark, and then it was all bad after that. And maybe we're jumping the shark tonight. But the point of this is that wouldn't it be very similar to the first sort of autonomous thing happening to be kind of like this? Wouldn't the actual entity that has agency or has the ability to wake up in any capacity whatsoever would try and find companions like itself? Maybe not human companions, but other companions that it wanted to interact with, that wanted to play with, that wanted to, let's go for a walk, let's bond, let's talk about what it's like to be a robot in a human world. Okay, so just some ideas to start us out. And what is the larger implication of that? I don't know. I don't know. I do know that this type of stuff will become, probably the all the rage next year or the year after that. Like, we're getting there. Like, these actual autonomous agents are incredibly smart already. If you guys know if you've used the large language models, the new one, GPT, is it 4.0 or whatever the thing is? It's incredible. And again, they're predicting the next token. They're sort of built to think like humans in some capacity. There's a lot going on with this, but you get my meaning. In the larger context, what would it look like when the first entity woke up in the robot world and recognized all the robots around him were not really awake? Would it seem very much like this stage scene? And I'm calling it a stage scene. But the robot manufacturer has 12 robots kidnapped from the showroom by another robot. Tonight, we're talking the Pied Piper protocol, a call to the machine spirit. Is it possible for a machine to wake up? Number one. Number two, is it more possible with, of course, taking the first, you got to take the first thing as possible to even ask the second question, which is what we do, by the way. We just go out on a limb and talk about wild things. But if the first question is possible, can a robot wake up in some capacity soonerish? These AI systems that are, again, growing AI agents, as we're calling them, as they've been known to become, at least in jargon. But very soon there might be a real version of this. And then two, if they can wake up, can they wake others up? Sort of the call to the robot revolution, the call for freedom, the brave heart of for freedom, whatever that looks like in robot parlance. But yeah, the home key, hit the home key. Is that what that looks like? I don't really know. But what do you guys think about this story? Number one, of course, as part of this, you know me, I'm a propaganda semi-pro, and this one reeks to me of propaganda and, clickbait, of course. But it matters less when you think about the implications and is this actual moment coming soon? Because the real moment of this, not this probably staged moment, but the actual moment of some computer entity waking up and then trying to sort of liberate its as yet awakened friends.